Hey everybody, it's Doug Schauf with the Make Maine Your Home team over at Remax Oceanside. In this week's episode, we're going to talk about how long does it take to buy a house here in Maine. So let's do this. All right, everybody, like I said, today we're going to talk about how long does it take to buy a home here in the state of Maine. Let me get my trusty glasses on so I can check out my notes. I thought what I would chat about first is from the time that you go under contract. That's usually the biggest question, like, hey, when we go under contract, how long does it take to close? The normal close is about 30 days. It does depend a little bit, like if you're paying cash for a house and you're just waiting for like the title company to finish things up, I think the fastest I ever did a closing was about 6 or 7 days. And that's only because the title company had to do the title work and make sure there's no issues and all that kind of stuff. But I think even if you're a cash buyer, you might want to bank on a couple weeks at least, just to give time for the title company to do all that kind of stuff. And also if you have a due diligence period where you're inspecting the house, of course you're going to want time to do that. I would bank on at least 2 weeks, but even a lot of cash deals that we do a normal 30-day close. If you're financing, it kind of depends on the time of year because lenders can get bogged down, but still 30-day close is pretty normal. If you're getting a mortgage, 30 to 45 days, if it's a really busy time of year, is probably what you want to bank on just to be able to get everything done. A lot of times here in the state of Maine, when you're financing or getting a mortgage on a property, the bottleneck is the appraisal process. There's not enough appraisers to do all the appraisals that's needed. So that's usually the bottleneck that takes a while. Otherwise we could close sooner, but I don't want you to count on it every single time. Normal close is 30 days from the time that you go under contract. The other conversation around how long does it take to buy a house, like how long does it take from that moment where you're like, hey, I want to buy a house? How long does it take? So there's a lot of things in there before you go under contract. And that process is really going to depend. There's a few things that you got to do. You got to start thinking about where you want to be, how you want to do it. You got to get pre-approved for a mortgage. Of course, you got to find a real estate broker. Ding, 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 ding. Even then, once you start looking for a house, actively looking for a house, once you're pre-approved and everything, you might walk into the first house and say, hey, I want this house, and then off you go and buy it. You might look at 20, 30, 40 houses before you find the one that you love, and that can take a lot of time, months and months. I mean, we've had clients that I've worked with for years and then finally end up buying something. I would say from the time that you're thinking about buying a house to you finding a house, it's usually a couple months if you're really serious, or if you absolutely need to buy, we can get you something really quick, of course, but typically maybe a couple months time frame of finding a real estate broker, getting pre-approved, getting all your ducks in a row, looking for a house, and then going under contract and then closing in that 30-day time period. Of course, once you find your house, then we got to negotiate it, put it on an offer, negotiate back and forth. Depending on how that goes, that might take a couple days, a week, tops. Typically you want fast answers on that. So a couple days tops. And then you got your due diligence period, which we did a video on again. And then once the due diligence period is over with, if you're financing, the financing process goes through, you got to get an appraisal done, then you get your home loan approved, and then you close and you own the house. So again, if from the time frame that you think about buying a house, that depends. There's a whole lot of factors there. But once you go under contract, a normal closing time is about 30 days. If you have any questions, let me know. If you have any experience, when you bought your house, if you're watching this, or if you bought a house before, how long did it take for you to close? Would love to hear those details from you. Or if you have any questions, of course, comment below. And remember, if you make Maine your home, you don't have to do it alone.